What if I told you that Canada and Brit are now cons using Russia's own frozen money? Yes, but reshape, global finance, and trigger legal storm you. Stay with us to find out what really happened and what the US might ask. And before we die, do you think the West should use Russia's frozen assets to rebuild? European Union, the big move, Europe's reparation. In a high-stakes financial move, the European Union is developing what officials are calling a reparations loan for Ukraine, a complex system designed to turn frozen Russian assets into immediate funding for Kyiv's defense and reconstruction. According to European Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis, the EU's proposal would unlock up to €185 billion over the next 2 years, leveraging the profits generated by immobilized Russian assets held in Western financial institutions. The concept is simple, yet revolutionary. Ukraine would receive the funds as a loan guaranteed by the EU, and it would only repay that money once Russia pays war reparations in the future. This framework sidesteps the politically and legally sensitive issue of confiscating Russian property outright, which many EU governments and central banks still oppose. Instead, it uses the interest income from those frozen assets as collateral, effectively making Moscow's wealth work for Ukraine. Canada, United Kingdom, Canada, and the UK step onto the stage. Here's where things get even more interesting. At the IMF and World Bank annual meetings in Washington, Dombrovskis revealed that both Canada and the United Kingdom have expressed clear interest in adopting the same financial model. In an exclusive interview with Reuters, he stated, "Canada and Britain have indicated interest to actually work on a similar model as our reparations loan." This means that two of Ukraine's strongest allies outside the EU are now exploring synchronized frameworks to back Kyiv, using Russian assets held within their jurisdictions. The development could mark the beginning of a G7-wide initiative to create a unified reparations loan system, where multiple Western nations use their own frozen Russian holdings to jointly finance Ukraine's war-torn economy. Behind closed doors, the US factor. Dombrovskis also confirmed that he would be meeting US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent later that day to discuss whether Washington would support or replicate the same approach. So far, the US has been cautious, wary of triggering legal challenges or retaliatory measures against American assets abroad. But without Washington's involvement, this entire system might face serious scalability limits, since the US controls a significant portion of the global frozen Russian reserves. This sets up a critical turning point. If the United States joins the effort, the reparations loan could become the largest coordinated financial instrument of the decade. If it stays out, Europe and its allies may have to shoulder the risk alone. Legal, financial, and political tightropes. While the plan sounds bold, it's walking on a razor's edge of international law. Here are the major challenges behind the scenes. Ownership versus use of assets. The EU can't legally seize Russian state assets without crossing sovereignty boundaries. So the plan depends on using generated income, not the principal funds themselves. Accounting tricks and political optics. Brussels wants to exclude the guarantees for these reparations loans from EU countries' debt and deficit calculations. This means member states could back billions in loans without technically violating fiscal rules. Special Purpose Vehicles, SPVs. Financial experts are exploring the creation of SPVs, dedicated entities that could manage and issue zero-coupon bonds, effectively transforming frozen funds into working capital for Ukraine. Legal variations across the G7. Each G7 member would need to align the plan with its own national laws. For example, Canada's Sanctions framework and the UK's Economic Crime Act may require tailored adjustments. Political resistance. Some EU states, especially Hungary, could oppose renewed asset freezes or joint guarantees, adding another layer of uncertainty to the project's approval. Why this plan could change everything. If successful, this initiative wouldn't just help Ukraine, it would set a precedent for global justice financing. It would prove that aggressors can't shield their wealth while their victims rebuild in ruins. Financial analysts note that this could reshape international sanctions law, create new categories of reparations funding, and even become a model for post-conflict recovery mechanisms in the 21st century. But critics warn it could also open Pandora's box, making sovereign wealth and central bank reserves politically weaponizable, something that could shake trust in the global financial system. The hidden truth to watch for. Here's the real twist. Behind the diplomatic optimism, the success or failure of this plan depends entirely on the US. If Washington refuses to align its legal framework with Europe's, the reparations loan may remain a symbolic gesture rather than a financial game-changer. But if the Biden administration quietly approves, we could soon witness the largest reallocation of frozen state assets in modern history, with billions flowing to Ukraine's war effort. So, will America join the plan, or leave Europe to bear the risk alone? That's the question shaping global finance right now. Final hook and engagement. What do you think? Should frozen Russian assets be used to rebuild Ukraine? Drop your opinion in the comments. Hit the like button if you believe Ukraine deserves this financial support, and make sure to subscribe, because when the US decision breaks, we'll bring you the full story first. Did you know that over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel? We totally get it, life gets busy, and sometimes it's easy to forget. But here's the thing. Subscribing is completely free, and it really helps us keep creating the content you enjoy. So why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? It only takes a second, but it makes a world of difference to us. Thank you for your support.